Prime Minister Narendra Modi to hold video conference with chief ministers and administrators of states and union territories today and tomorrow. It would be Prime Minister's first such interaction with chief ministers after Unlock 1. Pakistan releases 2 Indian officials working in Indian High Commission in Islamabad. Both officials were reported to be missing since yesterday morning. The officials were released hours after Ministry of External Affairs summoned the Pakistan chargé d'affaires in New Delhi and issued a démarche. In a historic decision, central government brings small nursing homes and doctors' clinics under the MSMEs. Delhi government orders installation of CCTVs in COVID wards in the capital on the directions of Home Minister Amit Shah. Recovery rate of COVID-19 patients in the country rises to 51.08%. 1,69,000 people have recovered from the virus. Number of active cases stays at 1,53,000. Global tally of COVID-19 cases crosses 80 lakh. Total of 4,35,000 deaths reported across the globe. Global recovery rate stays around 47.8%. Good morning. You're watching DD News and I'm Preeti presenting the bulletin. In the next half an hour, we'll get an account of everything that's been making it to the headlines. Our top story first. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will hold a fresh round of consultations with chief ministers of all the states and union territories today and tomorrow through video conferencing. The two-day virtual meet comes against the backdrop of rising number of coronavirus cases in the country. This will be Prime Minister's first meeting with chief ministers under Unlock 1. Several relaxations have been made for public and businesses to ensure that economic activities hit by the lockdown gather momentum. States have been divided in 2 slots for the two-day virtual meet. Today, Prime Minister Modi will interact with 21 states and union territories. These include Punjab, Assam, Kerala, Uttarakhand, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Tripura, Himachal Pradesh, Chandigarh, Goa, Manipur, Nagaland, Ladakh, Puducherry, Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Dadar and Nagar Haveli and Daman and Diu, Sikkim and Lakshadweep. Tomorrow, the Prime Minister will interact with 15 states and union territories which include Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Delhi, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, West Bengal, Karnataka, Bihar, Andhra Pradesh, Haryana, Jammu and Kashmir, Telangana and Odisha. Home Minister Amit Shah spoke with all the chief ministers over telephone in the last week of May, just before Lockdown 4 was to end. And our correspondent Arun Sharma is joining us to get us more on that. Arun, the Prime Minister will hold talks with with the chief ministers of states and union territories today and tomorrow. Let us know what is to be taken up.
That's right. It's an important meeting, Preeti, as far as the COVID-19 crisis is concerned. We know this fact that this meeting will be divided into 2 parts. Today, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be interacting with the states, with the CMs of primarily 21 states. Now, if you look at these states, these are smaller states. These states primarily belong to northeastern region. These are hilly region state, and of course, these are the states whereby the number of COVID cases are less in number. And when Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacts tomorrow with the chief ministers of 15 states, these will be the states whereby the number of corona virus is more in number, higher in number. Second important part, these are larger states So primarily that would be the strategy as far as dividing these states into two parts and two different strategies for two kinds of states, whereby number of cases are less in number and number of cases are more in number. But yes, we should not forget this fact that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has always ensured to take everyone on board before taking any decision and before making any strategies. So yes, important stakeholders, that means all these states will be interacting with the Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Home Minister Amit Shah will also be present during this meeting. An important part is that the basic formulation of the strategy will be done as to during the unlock one, because we know this fact, Preeti, that this is the first meeting during the unlock 1.0, and we are now opening up as of now. So during this unlock 1.0, what can be the strategy? Number one, during this number of rising of cases as of now, what can be the strategy to combat or to control the number of active cases? The good news is that India, as of now, if we talk about the recovery rate is more than 50%. That means the number of active cases are now less in number. People who are cured or discharged from hospital, these are higher in numbers. So that's the good news for a country like India with a population size of 130 crore. So how can this discharge rate or this recovery rate of more than 50% can be increased higher, and the number of active cases can be brought down? So yes, a two-tier strategy can be designed or discussed as far as the meeting with chief ministers are concerned, as to what is the hospital or the bed requirement, what is the isolation bed or the ward requirement of various states, and what is the requirement they want as of now in order to combat or to control the COVID crisis. Tier 2 strategy will be the best practices. This is something which is very much noteworthy. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, during the meet on 13th of June with various government officials and the senior cabinet ministers, also took note that the states or the UTs which are doing better as of now, the best practices in some states, how can that best practices can be replicated in another states, so that control of COVID cases can be done. So this will be a strategy. So completely a cooperative federalism, completely a spirit of Team India. This will be the spirit when Prime Minister Narendra Modi, that means center and states interact together in order to control or combat COVID-19. And yes, it's an important meeting because for the first time Prime Minister Narendra Modi is interacting during Unlock 1.0.
Yes, so this will be the first meeting when the Prime Minister will be interacting with the Chief Ministers under Unlock 1. Thank you so much, Arun, for joining us with those inputs. Let's get to other news now. In the latest turn of events concerning two missing Indian officials, Pakistan authorities have handed them over to the Indian High Commission in Islamabad. The staff went missing yesterday in the morning when they were on duty. The local Indian mission had raised the matter with Pakistan Foreign Ministry immediately after it lost track of the two staff members. Days ago, Indian mission in Islamabad had alleged of harassment by veiled persons on behest of the Pak authorities. The development comes only days after India had expelled two Pakistani High Commission officials working in Delhi on charges of spying. Abid Hussain and Tahir Hussain, the two Pak officials, were working in the visa section of the Pakistan High Commission in Delhi. India has lashed out at Pakistan for perpetrating state-sponsored atrocities against its minorities. Exercising its right of reply in response to the statement made by Pakistan, India's first secretary S. Senthil Kumar highlighted how a country like Pakistan, which was born out of religious fundamentalism, has serious credibility issues on human rights. India said that about 2,500 people of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa continue to be missing for their political, religious affiliations or defense of human rights.
Forced disappearances, state violence and forced mass displacements, harassment, extrajudicial killings, army operations, torture, kill and dumps, torture camps, detention centers, military camps are regular features in Balochistan. Nobody knows the fate of missing 47,000 Baloch and 35,000 Pashtuns till date. Sectarian violence has claimed more than 500 Hazaras in Balochistan and more than 100,000 Hazaras has fled Pakistan.
India has also underlined how systematic misuse of blasphemy in Pakistan has terrorized the minorities.
The recent fate of two Hindu girls in Sindh, one Christian girl in Lahore, one Ahmadi lady in Chalaki, two professors from Khairpur are the examples of systematic targeting of minorities through blasphemy laws. The state of the Pakistan is well manifested in the impunity and murder of 65 transgenders in Pakistan since 2015. Madam President, we could only advise this country to introspect its grave human rights situations before extending unsolicited advice to anybody. I thank you, Madam President.
And our correspondent Amrit Pal is joining us to get us more on that. Amrit, this is not for the first time that India has come down heavily on Pakistan for its treatment to the minorities. Get us know more about the context regarding which these statements have been made.
You see, at multilateral fora, we've seen Pakistan repeatedly rake up the Kashmir issue, especially in the aftermath of the abrogation of Article 370. They have launched a consistent drive to defame India. So this is a right of reply where the Indian First Secretary replied saying that the fate of minorities in Pakistan, citing incidents that how minorities are targeted in Pakistan and in almost every province. It was earlier understood that, Punjab probably was a safer province. Balochistan and Pakhtunkhwa and Sindh, we know what happens. It's very well documented. But with the First Secretary pointing out the incident of Lahore, so it's a malaise that's widespread in Pakistan, and Pakistan points fingers at India, saying that India targets, it rakes up the issue of some sort of mistreatment of minorities. We saw that in the wake of the CEA protests, and then Pakistan waking up an internal issue at international fora. So this is in response to that, that the latest when Pakistan raised the Kashmir issue and this so-called treatment of Kashmiri minorities, India has launched a robust and a vitriolic attack on Pakistan, showing them the mirror.
All right, Amrit, also let us know more about the two missing Indian officials who have been handed over to the Indian High Commission in Islamabad.
Well, it seems like a case of abduction to me, though nobody has come on record to say is so from the Indian side. But if you look at the entire incident, yesterday at 8 a.m., two drivers who are employed with the Indian High Commission and are Indian nationals go for on an official vehicle for some official duties. Paul Silvadas and Dvimu Brahma. They are not found for a couple of hours. That raises the alarm in the Indian High Commission. The Indian High Commission, after failing to contact them, sounds out the Pakistan Foreign Office. The Pakistan Foreign Office feigns ignorance. Nothing happens throughout the day. They say we don't know where they are. There is no official response from them, even while their media is reporting that they are in the custody of Islamabad police for a hit-and-run case, citing Islamabad police sources. By the evening, India summons the acting High Commissioner in the Shah Affairs, Syed Haider Shah, at the Ministry of External Affairs, and tells them very, very clearly that these two officials should be returned, cites the media reports, and says that no interrogation or harassment of the Indian officials should be done. The responsibility for the safety and security of the diplomatic personnel lies squarely with Pakistani authorities. The acting High Commissioner also does not reveal that they are in custody of Pakistan. They go back by the late evening. These two staffers of the Indian High Commission are handed back to the Indian High Commission. Informed sources tell us that there were visible injury marks. After that, a medical evaluation was done, and so there seems to be some sort of harassment and torture in custody that they've gone through. We are not very clear whether was it the ISI or was it the Islamabad police that picked them up, but in any case, they were Pakistani agencies. They have the Pakistan Foreign Office has revealed that the two were involved in a hit-and-run case, and they say that some fake currency was also found on them. Now, it looks like these could be trumped-up charges because it doesn't require from 8 a.m. till 11 in the night to release them, even if it were a hit-and-run case. and assuming that they were fake currency was found on them, the first thing that they do under the diplomatic convention is inform the Indian High Commission. At max, they can recommend expelling or withdrawing the officials of the diplomatic staff if they are found involved in activities other than diplomatic duties. So it seems that it's a tit-for-tat case, because about 2 weeks back, two staffers of the visa section were expelled and after they were caught red-handed on charges of espionage. So, and Pakistan has been consistently since, the past few months harassing Indian officials. In March, a note was given to them by the Ministry of External Affairs citing 13 incidents where phone calls were made, trailing was done. Gaurav Ahluwalia, the acting High Commissioner in the Shashtri Affairs, himself was trailed by a biker, last month itself. So it's very clear which he and his staff had filmed and put out those pictures for everyone to see. So it looks like that in the aftermath of what happened after the expulsion of the two diplomats of Pakistan posted here in Delhi, it seems to be a retributive action that they're taking and trying to harass and intimidate the Indian officials and diplomats working in Pakistan.
All right, Amrit, thank you so much for joining us with those inputs. That was our correspondent, Amrit, telling us more about the statements which have been made by India on the ill treatment which has been meted out to the minorities in Pakistan. Up next, we'll get you more on the current situation of COVID-19 in the country. When we go by the data given by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, during the last 24 hours, 7,419 COVID-19 patients were cured. A total of 1,69,797 patients have been cured of COVID-19 so far, which means the recovery rate has risen to 51.08%, which is indicative of the fact that more than half of the positive cases have recovered from the disease. Currently, 1,53,106 active cases are under medical supervision. ICMR's testing capacity for detecting novel coronavirus in infected persons is continuously being ramped up. The number of government labs has been increased to 653 and private labs has been increased to 248. 4 hours, 1,15,519 samples were tested. A total number of samples tested so far is 57,74,133. Union Home Minister Amit Shah paid a surprise visit to Lok Nayak Jayaprakash Narayan Hospital on Monday to review the arrangements related to COVID-19. Amit Shah directed the Delhi Chief Secretary to install CCTV cameras in the corona wards of every corona hospital so that there is proper monitoring and problems of patients can also be resolved. Union Home Minister also directed the Delhi Chief Secretary that backups for canteens supplying food should also be established so that in case there is an infection in one canteen, patients can continue to get food without disruption. Amit Shah also directed that psycho-social counseling of doctors and nurses engaged in the service to humanity through the treatment of COVID-19 patients should also be done. This will not only ensure that they are physically but also psychologically fit to fight the pandemic. On the instructions of the Union Home Minister, the Delhi government ordered the installation of CCTV cameras in all the wards of COVID hospitals associated with Delhi government. Delhi government has also ordered the installation of CCTV cameras in PWD department of Delhi government in the next 24 hours. In a major relief to small and mid-size hospitals, the centre has granted micro, small and medium enterprises status to them. The sector, which caters to around 85% of India's healthcare load, was bleeding with a shift in focus to serve only the COVID-19 cases, with a range of other services taking a backseat. Now they will avail several benefits extended to the MSME sector. Small hospitals are typically 100-bed setups, while medium ones have between 100 and 300 beds. Also, large hospitals have more than 300 beds and offer primary, secondary and tertiary care. And kickstarting the Magnetic Maharashtra 2 initiative to draw investments to the state, MOUs worth 16,030 crore rupees were signed with investors from 12 different countries in the presence of Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray. Chief Minister Thackeray, who was in attendance via video conference, said that the government will fulfill its commitment and small and big industries that will come in the state will not face any difficulty in setting up their industries. The agreement was signed with the United States, China, Korea, that is South Korea, Singapore and some Indian investors, and the US-India Partnership Forum. On the occasion, State Industries Minister Subhash Desai informed that about 40,000 hectares of land is reserved in the state for these industries. Instead of various licenses, now a single grand license will be issued in 48 hours. He also informed that an industrial labor bureau will also be set up. In Jammu and Kashmir, 3 terrorists were eliminated in an encounter that broke out at Turkmangam area of Shopian today. The operation has been concluded and the identity of the slain terrorist is being ascertained. The encounter broke out in the wee hours today between the troops of 44 Rashtra Rifles and terrorists. And Special Operations Group Zainapura had also joined in. And now a global update on COVID-19. Nearly 80 lakh people have tested positive for COVID-19, while over 4.36 lakh people have lost their lives. The US continues to remain the worst affected country with respect to the number of confirmed cases and deaths, followed by Brazil and Russia. Over 21.13 lakh people have been tested positive across the US, while over 1.16 lakh have died till now. Brazil is fast emerging as the new epicenter. Confirmed cases and deaths. And when we talk of Russia, Russia has reported over 5.36 lakh confirmed cases. The United States has recorded less than 400 COVID-19 related deaths in the last 24 hours for the second day in a row on Monday, according to a tally by Johns Hopkins University. Now, this is the lowest death tally since the end of March. 21.13 lakh active cases have been reported across the US, while over 1.16 lakh people have lost their lives. Meanwhile, gatherings of up to 25 people are permitted in parts of New York that have entered the third phase of the state's reopening plan, up from a previous limit of 10. In the rate of positive tests and in hospitalizations supported the move. He also urged local governments to keep on top of enforcing social distancing rules and criticized the images of people crowding the streets outside bars in New York City over the weekend. And France reported 29 new COVID-19 deaths on Monday, taking the total to about 29,436. Now, this is the 5th highest in the world and marking the 6th day with under 30 fatalities. However, the number of new confirmed cases of the disease is more than 1.94 lakh in the country. The government also reported the number of people in the hospital fell to about 10,000. Tallies continuing weeks-long downtrends. Now, these figures are published a day after President Emmanuel Macron said that he was accelerating France's exit from its COVID-19 lockdown. Amid a continuous rise in the number of COVID-19 cases in Mexico, the economy of the Mexican city has reopened with proper implementation of measures to curb the spread of the virus. Restrictions from travel have also been lifted. Mexico has recorded more than 1,50,260 cases of COVID-19, with the death toll crossing 17,580. That's it in this edition of the News Sir. Thanks for watching. Namaskar.